Shalum. Shalom and welcome. Welcome to the White Rose Family Channel. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I'm compelled to present before an awakening set-apart nation. My brothers and sisters, I have begun a series called EndTime Manifest. This is part one coming from the introduction, so it does not include the introduction. As I stated, I will present a series of messages that I believe are relevant, are necessary for end-time tasks being completed successfully. With that said, before I get into this part one, I want to say that the views expressed in these messages do not necessarily reflect the views of the owners, managers, and/or shareholders. I began by saying the plan. Yashar'al, if there is no vision, the people perish. So it is written, so it is true. Imagine, O Yashar'al, something as great as the final Exodus, something as great as the final days of our lives, and there's no vision and there's no plan. How would you feel, O Yashar'al, getting ready to take a trip, and everybody ran to the vehicle that they were going to be transported in and started going up the road, passing gas stations left to right, with no thought to fuel up or look at the level of fuel in the vehicle. Without a plan, you might just keep passing gas stations up, and then you see a sign saying next gas station 100 miles. Without a plan comes recklessness, Yashar'al. Or imagine preparing for a wedding. And you do some preparing, but no plan. So the groom is there, but the wife is not. They got their timing and sequences off. You might think these are extremes, my brothers and sisters. Look at the scriptures. Throughout the scriptures, there are things that instruct us, guide us, and warn us. Do you think that's just for the sake of just warning us and informing us? Or are these things contributors towards the plan of the Almighty Father? Has he not influenced his children by the plan that he's laid out? If you are one who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father, if you are one who believe there will be a final Exodus, or you believe at the very least there will be movement in these last days, follow along with this series, my brothers and sisters. Every plan consists of details and processes to ensure its success. Some details may be more magnified than others, some neglected, some where we pay close attention to. The time is now, Yashar'al. Know that the plan of Yahuah will be successful, not might, not maybe. Let's take a moment to reflect on some major priorities regarding end-time survival for fulfilling what is promised. We will grow to witness expectations unfold into realities with each passing day. Let me present some priority topics, things that we must be aware of as we approach our final days. Breathable air. In the 24th chapter of Matthew, as well as Luke 21, talks about wars and rumors of wars, fighting, earthquakes in diverse places. What do you think the realities of the quality of air would be when you have famine and pestilence and disease, and you have wildfires clogging the air, polluting the air? What do you think a war-torn environment would resemble? You see, Yashar'al, it's important to know how the Almighty Father is directing our path so that we're in the right place at the right time. What about water? Do you think we can survive at all from a natural and practical perspective without water, without food? Should we be more concerned with getting to the promised land or moving to that final destination and ignore the need for water or food? Ignore the need to trust and believe? And as we venture to our final destinations, wherever they may be, O Yashar'al, as we venture there, if there's rain or no rain, if there are winds blowing rampantly, if conditions are bad, should we not be mindful of shelter? Should we not be mindful of how to construct shelter when forced or when leaving permanent shelters? Should we not be mindful of a safe place? And what's safe today may not be safe tomorrow. Each of these will require guidance from the Almighty Father Yahuah through his word sent in Yahusha's name to successfully complete what is ordered. Remember, movement is coming for the people of the world. Even the wicked ones will be forced to move, my brothers and sisters. You see, when there's wars and fightings going on, when there's earthquake in diverse places, when there's an attraction to follow the set-apart ones, movement will come. Stay with me as I present very important things, my brothers and sisters, we must consider as we press into the most challenging times of our lives. Let's continue. Hear these words, O Yashar'al. Listen very carefully, for there are those among us who are clueless, unlearned, undiscerning, not concerned. The scriptures tell us not to worry, O Yashar'al, and we are not. But we are to believe and trust. Noah paid attention to the details he was given to prepare the ark. Lot and his wife and his family may not have paid attention to details of what was really going on, but he yielded to the hand of the messengers who guided him out of Sodom and Gomorrah. My point is this, Yashar'al. There will be a final exodus. There will be a final gathering. There will be those who will assist with the gathering of Yashar'al, and there will be those who will be active participants in the final gathering of Yashar'al. Hear these words in Isaiah 11, verse 12. Chapter 11, verse 12 of Isaiah. And he shall raise a banner for the nations and gather the outcasts of Yashar'al, and assemble the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth. Have the discussions, O Yashar'al. What does that resemble? What does it look like? Do not worry, but do not ignore the living guidance from the Almighty Father in doing your part. We must pay attention to what is our part. What assignments do we have? What is the plan? Isaiah 43, 5 and 7 says, do not fear, for I am with you. I shall bring your seed from the east and gather you from the west. I shall say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not keep them back. Bring my sons and daughters from afar, and my daughters from the ends of the earth. All those who are called by my name, whom I have created, formed, even made for my esteem. There are many verses that talk about the final exodus, the final gatherings. Some will prefer to debate and argue of whether the gatherings have taken place already. Remember, Yahuah does not change. And we will see in searching the scriptures there are similar circumstances and conditions that repeat themselves over the years. But these are the final days, O Yashar'al, and I am compelled to believe that the Almighty Father will indeed prove his promise to be true. It is time to begin discussing the realities of what is expected, O Yashar'al. What is the plan? Are we in agreement to what it takes for this plan to be successful? Are we prepared to yield to the living direction from the Almighty Father. Set priorities, recognize priorities. Why must we listen to the guide that the Almighty Father anoints? For stepping in the wrong direction and in the wrong place, we might find that breathable air is a challenging thing. Listen as I read Matthew 24, 6 through 8, my brothers and sisters. Matthew 24, verses 6 through 8 says, "And you shall begin to hear of fightings and reports of fighting. See that you are not troubled, for these have to take place, but the end is not yet." You see, if we panic, my brothers and sisters, we may go in the wrong direction. We may go where the air is filled with smoke and is thicker. At least we pay attention. To not be troubled is to be comforted and strengthened by the power and might of the Almighty Father. It says, "For nation shall rise against nation and reign against reign. And there should be scarcities of food and deadly diseases and earthquakes in places. And all these are the beginning of birth pains." I assure you, if you picture the conditions that will come and arise, the need to discern and move according to the guidance of the Almighty Father is important. It would be to our benefit to be in the right place at the right times. War-torn areas will prove to produce very poor air quality, and this will affect how we act among each other. For those who panic will act erratically and use poor judgment. Breathable air, my brothers and sisters. Without so much, it would be difficult to live physically. Now, I am aware, and I do not want you to forget Deuteronomy 8:3, that man doesn't live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Almighty Father. Next, my brothers and sisters, water will prove to be a very important element needed for survival. Let's take a look. Stay with me. As I give some examples of water, let me read this first to you, my brothers and sisters. "In famine, there will be drought, and we will thirst for water. It is important to consider the information and skills needed to identify fresh, drinkable water. Water filtration and desalination will be a critical component as we move towards our ordered destinations. It is stated that water is more important than food, that we can live, but after 72 hours without water, our health deteriorates. It is believed that one could go longer without food than without water, thus making water a priority. Yashar'al, my brother, my sister, looking for fresh water takes a skill, not because the water is clear, but knowing where to find water and how to purify it, knowing how to take water and pour it through gravel. And then when it passed through the gravel, let it pass through sand. And as it passed through sand, let it pass through charcoal. I might have the sequence a little off. So in this planning, my brothers and sisters, let us identify those who understand the sequence for filtrating water. How rocks and gravel and sand and sticks. How charcoal could be burnt tree bark. I believe sand is the last sequence. So I believe it's gravel, rocks and gravel, sticks, charcoal, sand, then water. And I may be wrong. But again, in this plan, O Yashar'al, my point is water. Some of us have the skill sets. Let us not worry. But if you are one who's saying, what should I do? And you find yourself with idle time, look at some videos on how to filtrate water and then boil it. Look at videos that show how, if it's salt water and you take it through the filtration system and then you boil it and catch the condensation and drink that, how to desalinate, get the salt out of the water. My brothers and sisters, some of us will have the skills in this final Exodus, and some of us will know what to do, and some of us will not. The scriptures talk of many members with many different functions. Do not take for granted those who are skilled with identifying how to get drinkable water. Do not take for granted those who know how to manage or receive instructions on how to manage water. Water will come, and the Almighty Father has proven in days of old, he will give water to those whom he chooses, to a nation, to a people that he's guiding. Do not lose belief or trust. Let's take a look at this passage, my brothers and sisters. Come with me to Exodus 15, 22 through 27. Exodus chapter 15, 22 through 27 says, And Moshe brought Yashar'al from the Sea of Reeds, and they went out into the wilderness of Sur. And they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. See, it's getting to that time, 72 hours is passing. And they came to Marah, and they were unable to drink the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. So the name of it was called Marah. And the people grumbled against Moshe, saying, What are we to drink? Then he cried out to Yahuah, and Yahuah showed him a tree. And when he threw it into the waters was made sweet. There he made a law and a right ruling for them, and there he tried them. And he said, If you diligently obey the voice of Yahuah, your Almighty One, and do what is right in his eyes, and shall listen to his commands, and shall guard all his laws, I shall bring on you none of the diseases I brought on the Mitzrayites, for I am Yahuah, who heals you. And they came into Elim, where there were 12 fountains of water and 70 palm trees, and they camped there by the waters, close to waters. Water is made accessible to them. He instructed them on what to do to make the water sweet. Water is an important factor, O Yashar'al. Let us not lose trust in these coming days. I want you to also consider this passage in Exodus 17th chapter, verse 1 through 6. Exodus 17, 1 through 6 reads, And all the congregation of the children of Yashar'al set out on their journey from the wilderness of Sin, according to the mouth of Yahuah, and camped in Rephidim, and there was no water for the people to drink. Therefore all the people strove with Moshe, saying, Give us water to drink. And Moshe said to them, Why do you strive with me? Why do you try Yahuah? And the people thirsted there for water, and the people grumbled against Moshe, said, Why did you bring us out of Mitzrayim to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst? Then Moshe cried out to Yahuah, saying, What am I to do with these people? Yet a little, and they shall stone me. And Yahuah said to Moshe, Pass over before the people. Take with you some of the elders of Yashar'al, and take in your hand your rod, with which you struck the river, and go. See, I am standing before you there on the rock of Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and water shall come out of it, and the people shall drink. And Moshe did so before the eyes of the elders of Yashar'al. And if you read the complete story, they received drink. In this case, it wasn't a river flowing across the land. It was water springing up out of a rock. With each message, my brothers and sisters, that I present, there will be those who discover what skills fit specific needs. The skill to identify water. The skill to discern the voice of the Spirit of Yahuah, to know where to find the water. The skills to discern and know how to filtrate or make the water sweet. Now, some of us take water for granted. And some of us may be focused on what's going to be the next meal or where our next steps should lead us. Different ones will have different things that are of interest. For this part one of the plan, O Yashar'al, understand the priorities. Breathable air. Water has a priority. Do not worry. Do not lose belief and trust. Or as some would say, do not lose faith. With each message I present, O Yashar'al, somebody will show and demonstrate skill sets. Let us look at food. The scripture speaks of time where there will be scarcities of food. Have we considered food management as we gather? If we are on a track that will take us some time to get there, do we know what foods will last us and for how long before they spoil? Do we know what herbs and spices or how to cook the foods to preserve them? Do we know what plants are edible? Are we familiar with the dietary laws? For remember, my brothers and sisters, the dietary laws remain in effect even in the midst of scarcity of food. It is time to identify the planters, those who know what fruits and vegetables grow quicker than others. What type of conditions must be met to plant and grow food? Will we be in a position in an area long enough for food to grow there? Will we plant? And as we continue to press towards the final exodus, someone else that may come along that path, by then there would be some food sprouting. It's time to identify the planters. The fishermen, do we know how to fish? Do we know what fish are edible? The hunters, do we know how to hunt? The meats that are edible. The preparers and the cooks among us. Have we identified those who can take a little of nothing and make a great meal out of it? Have we identified those who have the belief, the trust that they have been endowed with the power to feed a multitude? Let us be mindful of the tools and resources that will be necessary for planting, for fishing, for hunting, for preparing, for cooking. Yashar'al, Yashar'al, let us not take anyone's skill for granted. Let us understand what resources will be necessary. And I believe there will be some of us that the Almighty Father will guide us and say, just walk away. Don't worry. Walk away and move in the direction that I am directing you, said the Almighty Father. I believe we will hear that. And there will be some with the skills that will find favor and say, I have granted you an abundance of flour. Whether it be wheat flour, smelt flour, almond flour, I have granted you with abundance in your cupboards. You have prepped much food. Take this food, for you will meet other brothers and sisters who do not have food. And there are those who will find themselves, in some cases, facing a scenario like the maidens, the 10 maidens, where some prepared their lamps with oil and some did not have. And those that did not missed out. So there's a time and season for all things, O Yashar'al. But let us not take for granted what has been placed in our possession and how it will play a role in our gathering. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, breathable air, drinkable water, food. Remember these words, O Yashar'al, as I continue. Come with me to Matthew 25, 37 through 46. Matthew 25, 37 through 46. For it reads, Then the righteous shall answer him, saying, Master, when did we see you hungry and we fed you, or thirsty and gave you drink? And when did we see you a stranger and took you in, or naked and clothed you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and we came to you? And the sovereign shall answer and say to them, truly I say to you, and so far as you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers, you did it to me. He shall then also say to those on the left hand, go away from me, accursed ones, into the everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his messengers. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you did not take me in. Was naked, you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me. Then they also shall answer him, saying, Master, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not serve you? Then he shall answer them, saying, truly I say to you, and so far as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me. And these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into everlasting life. You see, my brothers and sisters, in this plan must be those who are able to discern how to serve, obey the Almighty Father, and tend to the least to the greatest. Be mindful, O Yashar'al, each of us have responsibilities, and collectively it will reflect the function of a set-apart family, a set-apart body of righteous ones, many members with different functions. Let me continue, O Yashar'al, regarding the plan. In Romans 12, 3 through 5. Hear these words, O Yashar'al. Romans 12, 3 through 5, for they read, for I say through the favor which has been given me. Can we identify Yahuwah's favor? To everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he should, but think soberly, as the Almighty One has given to each a measure of belief. For as we have many members in one body, but all members do not have the same function, so we the many are one body in Messiah, and members each one of one another. Will the gatherer be able to identify the right direction to go? Where the air is better? Will there be leadership that knows how to comfort us so that we trust and believe that water will come? Again, I emphasize, do not take anyone's skill for granted. Look in the mirror, my brothers and sisters, and ask yourself, you have found favor. What is the strength? What is that thing that you have a love and desire to do that lines up with life? I'm not talking about vices and just pleasures. I'm talking about things that contribute towards the necessity of succeeding in what is expected of us from the Almighty Father. Make them known. Where are the brothers and sisters who encourage others to learn and strengthen in their skills? To the sower, are they teaching the unlearned who desire to sow how to do it better? To the hunter, is he or she teaching the unlearned who desires to hunt? Or the fisherman, or the cook, or the preparer, or the navigator? Is he or she teaching how to look up and know which direction the sun comes and go down? Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, there is much to be said and done, much to be taught. How to be brave and courageous, or lean on the brave and courageous as we press into the direction that is required to fulfill end times. Shelter. My brothers and sisters, let us begin to identify the builders among us. Who can take sticks and build a lean-to or a tent? Who can take mud and make bricks? Who know how to dig a hole and shape it in a way that it could be a cave? Who knows how to find dense trees that are non-poisonous to get under, and for how long? Who knows how to identify whether the tree is diseased and weak and will snap in the wind, or whether it is strong and hold back the rain over our heads as we look for shelter? Who know how to make a tent, how to weave a vine into ropes? My brothers and sisters, we must identify the builders among us. There will be permanent shelters and there will be temporary shelters. Let us not hold on to either, but know when to step into them and when to come away from them. The need to determine how we manage time and resources will be critical. Remember, there will be movement, my brothers and sisters, during these final days. And we must begin to equip ourselves with the right mindset and a ready position to act. A safe place, my brothers and sisters. Remember, as we seek a safe place, do not forget these words. Hear these words, O Yashar'al, as I gradually come towards the end in this part 1, emphasizing the need for the plan and some components in the plan. I believe it is important to play this message over and over again. Have the discussion among those whom you fellowship, and discover those who are hungry to learn, discern, and demonstrate the wisdom for acting in a disciplined manner. Matthew chapter 10, verse 39 through 40, 39 and 40 reads, "He who has found his life shall lose it, and he that has lost his life for my sake shall find it. He who receives you receive me, and he who receives me receive him who sent me." Are we functioning in a way which we will sacrifice our life for Yahusha's name? Or are we taking these priorities in a way to just save our own skin, so to speak? Proverbs 18:10 says, "The name of Yahuah is a strong tower." The name of Yahuah. So you think we're going to get by with all these different ways we are addressing the Almighty Father? Do you think we can call him anything we want and experience the fruit of a strong tower? Think again. It say the righteous run into it and are safe. Pray and watch. The name will be important. We will discover that Yahuah sent his word in Yahusha's name. We will discover how and why lifting up Yahusha, which is the word of Yahuah, will result in him drawing all men to himself, drawing us to him, as it is written in John 12:32. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters. The time is now to identify our skills and begin getting involved with end-time tasks and assignments, making known the strengths that we have, identifying the weak or the least among us. For the Almighty Father will bring about success in the promises that he's made to us, O Yashar'al. The plan begins. I've laid out some things that we must think about and consider, O Yashar'al. Have these discussions. Know, in movement comes the need to identify those who can drive and operate a vehicle, or at the very least, who can discern the voice of the Spirit of Yahuah that will quicken them with the skill sets to drive and or operate a vehicle. If we must move, what is the distance? Are we more closer with the person that's driving a two-seater sports car, or closer to the person who drives a van, or who drives a bus, or who can operate a semi-truck with a long trailer of which we can get in, venting that trailer so we'll be able to breathe, O Yashar'al, having breathable air, having enough room to carry some water to last us till we get to a spring, a creek, or a place where Yahuah will spring up water. You see, Yashar'al, the plan. What plans do we have? Do we have plans to identify those who take into consideration fresh air, water, food, shelter? Do we take into consideration those who can craft together a garment to help keep us warm, whether it be from the skins of an animal or from branches and leaves, sheltering us? Have these discussions. Do not put one over the other, but have the mind, my brothers and sisters, to identify the different skills. Who knows how to comfort the baby, the infant, as we journey? Who knows how to put themselves in the front as the point person, and when they identify safe passage, stay there and let the rest pass through? For we saw an example when Yashar'al crossed the river. There were times when leadership stepped and the rivers split and parted. Then all of Yashar'al passed through it, and then those who had stepped in it first stepped out of it last because they waited for the rest. You see, there will be an order in this movement. There will be structure in this movement. There is a plan, O Yashar'al. And the things in which I have spoken, technology allows this to be converted into text. You may have the skill to write what I've said and what others are saying in preparation for end time assignments, completing end times assignments. What say you, Yashar'al? Are you a transcriber? Are you utilizing the technology to transcribe what I just presented, and or what others present that contributes towards our instruction? Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, the plan. There's a plan, and it consists of many details, my brothers and sisters. Thank you if you've listened to this from beginning to end. Stay tuned. The series continues. End Time manifests, step by step, building blocks for coming together in unity, step by step, contributing and being a part of all that is necessary to bring about the visibility of 144,000 and great multitude as mentioned in Revelation 7 chapter. Hear, O Yashar'al, and be encouraged. Details are unfolding with each passing day. Let us have the discipline and the readiness to respond. On that note, be encouraged and stay tuned. There's much more to come regarding the manifest for the final Exodus, the manifest for our end time assignments, our end of days. On that note, Yashar'al, my brother, my sister, my family, be encouraged. Be encouraged. What is expected of you, what is expected of me will unfold, and we will testify of all that we see. We will know how to testify of what is set apart and how to testify with coming away or purging the things that are not. On that note, I leave you with thank you. Thank you, and may the Almighty Father get all esteem and credit for anything set apart coming from me. May the spirit of his word, Yahusha, be lifted up, and we witness him draw us to himself, and this is where we come together. So I come to you in the name of the Almighty Father Yahuah, who sent his word in Yahusha's name, and I end by saying, Shalom, and stay tuned for more. Shalom.